Let's call her Jenna. We were together for 2 years. I'm 27, she's 25. From the moment we met, I thought she was everything I'd ever wanted. She had that kind of beauty that made people stop and stare, confident, fun, and always the center of attention. I couldn't believe she was with me. I was proud. About a year into dating, we decided to move in together. Well, technically, she moved into my house. I owned it. Jenna was still in school and only working part-time, so I covered everything: rent, food, electricity, even her car insurance. At first, I didn't mind. I thought I was helping her out. It felt like I was investing in our future. She'd finish school, we'd keep building, and everything would fall into place. For a while, it was great. She was sweet, funny, always full of energy. I worked long hours, but I didn't care. I loved coming home to her. She made the house feel alive. But then, slowly, things started changing. It started small. She stopped waiting for me to eat dinner. She spent more time scrolling on her phone than talking to me. Then she started going out more weekends, weekdays, random nights. Just meeting friends, she'd say. I didn't want to seem jealous, so I let it go. But she kept coming home late. Sometimes, I'd get a text saying, "Don't wait up." That's it. No explanation. No warmth. Just cold words on a screen. I remember one night coming home after a brutal 12-hour shift. The house was dark. No sign of her. I sat on the couch, feeling like I didn't even matter. I told myself she was just stressed. Maybe school was overwhelming her. Maybe she needed space. But deep down, I knew something was off. I felt like a roommate, not a boyfriend. I paid for everything, made sure she had everything she needed, but she couldn't even give me her time. It wasn't about the money. It was about the effort. Or the lack of it. One Saturday morning, I woke up and she was already gone. No note. Just a vague text hours later saying she was out with the girls. I stopped asking where she was going. Every time I did, she acted like I was accusing her of something. I hoped it was just a phase. I kept telling myself things would get better. That we'd go back to how we were. But it kept getting worse. I loved Jenna. I truly did. She wasn't just a girlfriend. She was someone I pictured a future with. But I was starting to realize I was the only one building that future. I began second-guessing everything. Was I being too generous? Was I just easy to take advantage of? One of my friends joked, "You're basically her sugar daddy without the sugar." I laughed, but it hit hard. Because it felt true. I knew I needed to talk to her. To really figure out where we stood. But I didn't want to come across as clingy or insecure. So I waited. Hoping for the right moment. Then one night, she finally stayed home. We ordered food, sat on the couch, and started chatting. For a brief second, it felt like old times. I let myself believe we were okay. But then, out of nowhere, she said something that hit me like a punch. "You know," she said with a smirk, "you're pretty replaceable. There are tons of guys who'd love to be with me." I stared at her, thinking maybe I'd misheard. But she repeated it. This time with a little laugh, like it was some kind of joke. "Don't take it so seriously," she added, eyes still glued to her phone. But it didn't feel like a joke. It felt like the truth. I asked her, "Is that really how you feel?" She rolled her eyes. "You're being so dramatic." "Of course not. But I can't help it if guys hit on me. That's not my fault." There was no apology. No care for how her words landed. She just shrugged it off like I was overreacting. That night, I didn't sleep much. I just kept replaying her words in my head. Was that how she really saw me? Just another guy keeping her comfortable until something better came along? The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. She even kissed me on the cheek before heading out. No mention of what she said. No follow-up. That's when it really sank in. She didn't care. Not about my feelings. Not about the relationship. Not about the effort I was putting in every single day. From that point on, I started noticing everything. The little digs. The way she talked about other guys noticing her. The way her friends joked like she was the prize in our relationship. I used to laugh it off. But now, it felt different. Like she was testing how far she could push before I finally broke. And the worst part? I wasn't even mad. I was just tired. I stopped texting her during the day. Stopped checking in. Stopped asking how her classes were going. If she thought I was so replaceable, why was I working so hard to prove I wasn't? But I still couldn't bring myself to leave. 2 years is a long time. You don't just throw that away, right? I kept hoping maybe she was just joking. Maybe I was making it bigger than it was. Maybe she still cared, deep down. But the truth was, it wasn't just that one comment. It was everything. That comment was just the final crack in something that had been slowly falling apart. One evening, I came home and asked her, "Do you even want to be in this relationship anymore?" She looked at me like I was crazy. "Of course I do." "Why would you even ask that?" I wanted to say, "Because you treat me like I don't matter." But I just nodded and said, "I don't know. It feels like we're not on the same page." She sighed. "You're overthinking again. Can we not do this right now?" Then she walked into the bedroom and shut the door. That was it. No fight. No conversation. Nothing. I sat there on the couch, realizing something needed to change. Soon. Because I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay when it clearly wasn't. But before I could make a move, life stepped in and made one for me. A few days later, I got a call from someone I didn't expect, Kayla, one of Jenna's friends. Not her best friend, but close enough that a random call from her felt off. I hesitated for a second, but picked up. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual, even though I felt a pit in my stomach. That's when everything changed. The phone call that changed everything wasn't dramatic, it was quiet. Serious. Straight to the point. "Hey. I don't know if I should even be telling you this," Kayla said. "But I feel like you deserve to know." Right then, I knew something was coming. Something big. I sat there, silent, holding the phone like it was the only thing keeping me upright. "She's been seeing other guys," Kayla continued. "Not just one. Multiple. It's been going on for a while." My mind went completely blank. For a full 10 seconds, I just sat frozen, staring into space. "You're sure?" I finally asked, my voice dry. "I'm sure," she replied. "We had a fight recently and some stuff came out. She's been bragging about it, like it's no big deal. She even called you," she paused, "her backup plan." Backup plan. 2 words. That's all it took to crush everything I'd been trying to hold together. I had been pouring everything into this relationship, time, energy, money, love. And to Jenna? I was just plan B as someone she could fall back on when she got bored of playing around. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. Not angry. Just tired. Curious. Kayla paused. "Because it's not right. You're a good guy. You don't deserve to be treated like this. If I were you, I'd want to know." I didn't know whether to thank her or hang up. Kayla and Jenna had a shaky friendship at best. Sometimes they were close. Other times they were trash-talking each other behind closed doors. Part of me wondered, was this revenge? Was she exaggerating to get back at her? Still, everything she said matched what I had been feeling for months. The distance. The nights out. The coldness. The puzzle pieces were finally clicking into place. I couldn't ignore it anymore. But I also couldn't accuse Jenna without proof. She was slick, she'd deny, spin, gaslight, twist everything until somehow I became the villain. So I played it smart. I started watching. Not obsessively. Just, carefully. I remembered how predictable she could be. She loved her routines. Especially when it came to her so-called girls' nights. She'd always give the same vague excuse, just meeting up with friends, never saying who, where, or what. So the next time she said she was heading out, I casually asked, "Who are you meeting tonight?" "Oh, just Tina," she said quickly, grabbing her purse. An hour later, I called Tina. Kept it light. Chill. "Hey, Jenna said she's out with you tonight, but her phone died. Just wanted to check what time she'll be back." Tina paused. Long enough for me to know something was up. She's not with me. Haven't seen her in weeks." Boom. First red flag confirmed. I thanked her and hung up. No drama. No panic. But now I needed to know where Jenna actually was. That's when I remembered her favorite cafe bar, the cozy, hidden spot we used to go to in the early days. She hadn't mentioned it in months. But something told me she still went there. I drove over, parked a couple of blocks away, and walked toward the place, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. There she was. Sitting by the window. Laughing. Smiling. Leaning close to some guy I didn't recognize. And he wasn't just a friend. Not by a long shot. She touched his arm. He smiled at her like they shared a secret. Her whole body language screamed connection, comfort, chemistry. It hit me like a freight train. I didn't barge in. I didn't cause a scene. I stood there, outside, hands shaking, and took a picture through the window. Just one. Just enough. The worst part? She looked happy. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't scream. I planned. The next morning, I woke up with one thought in my head: this is over. For real. I didn't even feel hurt anymore. Just, clear. Jenna had made her choices. Now it was my turn. First, I canceled the autopay for her car insurance. She'd been coasting off my account for months. No more. Then I opened the fridge and cleared it. All her favorite stuff, the drinks she liked, the overpriced snacks, the fancy cheese she never finished, gone. Not out of pettiness. Out of principle. After that, I sent her a text. Starting next month, I'll need you to cover half the utilities: electric, internet, water. Adult stuff. You got this. No anger. Just facts. That evening, she came home and sensed the shift. She stared into the half-empty fridge, confused. Then a few days later, it finally boiled over. She stormed into the living room, waving a letter in her hand. "Why didn't the insurance go through this month?" she demanded. I didn't even look up from my laptop. "Because I'm not paying for it anymore." She blinked, stunned. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you're an adult, Jenna. Time to start acting like one." She wasn't ready for that. "What's your deal lately?" she snapped. "You've been acting weird. And now this? Are you seriously trying to punish me for something?" I looked at her. Really looked at her. And I laughed, not out of humor, but disbelief. "Punish you?" I said quietly. "No. I'm just done playing the fool." Her eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" So I showed her the photo. Her. With the guy. The moment frozen in time. She went pale. For the first time in forever, she was speechless. I didn't yell. I didn't give her a dramatic speech. I just said, "You made your choice. Now live with it." Then I walked away. No goodbye. No "we need to talk." Just silence. Because sometimes, the loudest thing you can say is nothing at all. I looked her dead in the eyes. You've been sneaking around behind my back while I was the one holding down this house, paying the bills, taking care of everything. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? For a split second, Jenna froze. Her face turned pale. She looked like she was about to deny it, but then she crossed her arms, her voice turning sharp. Who told you that? I didn't flinch. No one told me, I said, reaching into my pocket. I pulled out my phone and showed her the picture I'd taken through the cafe window, her, smiling and leaning in close to some guy like they were the only two people in the world. You recognize this? I asked, my voice calm but cutting. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The truth was already in the open. So tell me, I continued, how many of those guys who hit on you all the time are you dating now? Because clearly, you moved on long before this relationship was over. That's when the anger came rushing in. You don't understand, she shouted. I deserve attention. You've been so busy with work, I didn't even feel like we were in a relationship anymore. I stood up, eyes locked on hers. No, Jenna. You made a choice. You took me for granted. You thought I'd stick around no matter how little respect you showed me. But I'm not your backup plan. I'm not your safety net. And I'm done. She snapped back, louder this time. You're being dramatic. Every girl gets hit on, it doesn't mean anything. Maybe if you actually paid attention to me, I wouldn't have felt the need to go out so much. Her words hit like fire, but I kept my cool. Don't put this on me, I said coldly. You chose to cheat. You could have talked to me. You could have told me how you were feeling. Instead, you disrespected me. That's on you. Jenna's expression shifted. Her face started to crumble. But I didn't let up. You wanted to know what my problem was? It's you. And now, we're done. She tried to speak, but I cut her off. No more games. Pack your things. Find somewhere else to stay. This isn't your home anymore. The words hung heavy in the air. She was trying to think of how to spin it, how to get control back, like she always did. But this time? I wasn't giving her the chance. You can't just kick me out, she cried. Her voice trembled, and tears spilled down her cheeks. I don't have anywhere to go. Please, don't do this. I'll change, I promise. I looked straight at her. Jenna, I said firmly. I've worked my ass off to build a life for us. But you didn't want that. You wanted options. You said there were plenty of guys who'd love to be with you? Then maybe it's time you go find one. Because I'm done. Her tears turned into full-on sobbing. She dropped to her knees, clutching at her chest. I didn't mean it, she wailed. I wasn't thinking. I was just joking. Please don't throw me out. I'll do anything. I shook my head. You made your choices. You lied to me. You treated me like a placeholder. And now you're just facing the consequences. I'm not here to save you anymore. For a moment, she stopped crying. Her face twisted in fury. You'll regret this, she hissed, rising shakily to her feet. You'll regret losing a girl like me. You'll never find someone better. I couldn't help but laugh. A short, sharp laugh that made her flinch. Better than you? You're replaceable, Jenna. And you've proved that. Goodbye. She stood there for a moment, stunned and speechless. Then she grabbed her bag and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. As silence filled the room, I didn't feel sadness. I felt relief. For the first time in months, I could breathe. Aftermath. At first, I didn't know what to expect. But in the days after she left, a strange peace settled in. That didn't stop Jenna from stirring the pot, though. Within a week, I started hearing things through the grapevine. Apparently, she was telling everyone that I had been controlling. That I was emotionally abusive. That she had no freedom and I just kicked her out of nowhere. It stung. I wanted to defend myself. To tell people what really happened. But then I realized anyone who truly knew me wouldn't believe her lies. They saw how much I had done for her. They knew how one-sided things had become. And anyone who believed her? I didn't need them in my life anyway. Then, a few weeks later, I ran into a mutual friend at a coffee shop. They gave me an update on Jenna. Apparently, she'd started dating some wealthy guy. Typical. At first, I shrugged. Not my problem anymore. But then the friend smirked and added, didn't last 2 weeks. He dumped her as soon as he found out she was living with you for free and that you were paying her tuition. Guess he didn't like being her next ATM. I couldn't help but chuckle. That was so Jenna, always chasing the next upgrade, convinced she was the prize. She wasn't. Moving on. The best part of all this? A month after Jenna left, I met someone new. Let's call her Rachel. Rachel was the complete opposite. Kind. Thoughtful. Real. She didn't just take, she gave. She made me feel seen. Valued. For the first time in a long time, I actually felt respected in my own relationship. Of course, word got out. Jenna eventually found out I'd moved on. And she did not take it well. At first, she tried subtle moves, texting random things like, hope you're okay, or can we talk? Even showing up at places she thought I might be. I ignored it all. But then, she went full drama mode. The final meltdown. One night, I heard shouting outside my house. At first, I thought it was just noise from the street. But then I heard her voice. I opened the door and there she was. Jenna. On my porch. With 4 of her friends behind her like a mob. You're unbelievable, one of them yelled, pointing at me like I was on trial. You think you can just toss her aside, another barked. She deserves better. Tears rolled down Jenna's face. After everything we've been through, she sobbed, you're just done with me? Just like that? I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, calm and unmoved. What do you want, Jenna? I asked. She tried to speak but broke down again. Her friends chimed in like background noise, but I ignored them. Then she said it. I'm pregnant. It's yours. Everything went silent. Her friends stared at me, expecting some big reaction. But I didn't even blink. Is that so? I said coolly. And you brought a cheering squad to tell me? She sniffled. I didn't know how else to tell you. I'd been scared. I didn't know what to do. All right, I nodded. Then prove it. Show me a test. A doctor's note. Anything. One of her friends jumped in. She just found out. She hasn't had time to see a doctor yet. I turned my eyes back to Jenna. Is that true? I asked calmly. Because if it is, we'll handle it. But if it's not, if you're lying, then this conversation ends right now. Her face faltered. She looked away. That was all I needed to see. Eventually, they all left, shouting and cursing. But the performance had fallen apart. A few days later, I got confirmation. Kayla, the same friend who'd warned me before, messaged me again. She's not pregnant, she wrote. She made it up. She's just spiraling because she saw you moved on. It wasn't surprising. Just sad. I blocked Jenna on everything. I didn't care what she told people anymore. Her lies weren't my burden. Meanwhile, I kept moving forward with Rachel. With peace. With freedom. Jenna thought she was irreplaceable. But in the end, she was the one who was replaced. And I've never looked back.